If you saw my last video, you'll know that one huge mistake that I made and I'm still working through before launching my business was casting a net that was too wide instead of deep. I really wanted to bust into the market with like this super well thought out and well planned brand that had a ton of products in each category. But as a startup, especially as a handmade startup, we know it's just not that way. So instead of having this super well thought out list of products for my launch, I ended up being a little bit scatterbrained about it. Today, I'm going to share with you what I should have done when coming up with this launch line of products. Okay, so I'm gonna start by saying that yes, this is going to be actual valuable content. I'm not going to tell you that before you start your business, you should be building a presence for yourself on social media. Is that important? Yes, but that's not the type of value that I have for you. I have like the actual things that I should have really done before purchasing anything at all for my brand. So before you buy anything, the first thing that you need to do is really truly think about what your brand's direction is. So will you be just solely selling soap? Will you be, also including like body products like body butters or exfoliating creams, anything like that? Are you gonna make face products? What about chapsticks and facial creams and under eye creams and face exfoliators? There are so many different things that you can do or so many different ways that you can start, but it's super important to make sure that you have that direction down pat before you buy anything at all. Also, something important to keep in mind is just because you've decided that right now you're solely selling your handmade soaps, that doesn't mean that that's the only direction you will ever be able to be in. The trick with this is you need to make the decision that's going to work for you and your budget and your brand right now. In a couple months, you'll have your next launch and then you'll be able to add things or change things or move into a new category. So the decision that you make now is just super important that you know it's not the end all be all decision to make. This is actually going to lead us directly into step number 2 of deciding your initial launch products, and that is going to be doing your research. Now, I definitely did research, okay? I did. And I'm glad that I did the research that I did because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. This really started off as a hobby for me, and then I started noticing over time, first of all, my daughter and I love doing it together, so it's something great that we can do together. But I also noticed that I was like severely less anxious than I normally am. Like my anxiety went like boom, and it's just so crazy, like how different things affect different people. But anyway, that's a story for another time. So let's talk about doing your research. Have you ever heard of this saying, there's no one way to skin a cat? Like, I know that that's a super weird saying, but it actually really applies to our situation here. So let's say, for example, you think you want to sell soaps. Well, now you need to do your research and see which kind of soap you want to make. Do you want to make melt and pour soap? Do you want to make cold process soap? Do you know what goes into cold process soap? What about molds? What about this? What about that? Colors, designs, all of those things just go into just that one product of soap. So doing your research will really help make sure that you are fully informed, and it'll kind of give you a better idea of what you can expect when jumping into a category for your handmade business. Now, let's talk about that one that nobody really wants to talk about, but it is actually going to be like the basis of all of your decision making, especially in the very beginning, and that is deciding on your budget and creating a spreadsheet or a way to track your income and expenses. I personally use Google Sheets for this process, and that is because I like the versatility of it. You can access it from any device, whether it be a phone, a computer, an Apple product, or an Android product, HP, doesn't matter. You can access it with any device, and you can also allow for that document to be edited while offline. And that is just something that's super, super important to me. So, obviously it's free. So I personally use Google Sheets. Use whatever you want to use. just make sure that you are in some way tracking that. And once you like start or launch your website, I'm pretty sure within Shopify there is a way that you can like manage all of that information within Shopify. I just haven't found the exact one yet. I will update you guys if I do. Now, the thing about like research and budgeting is that they kind of are a double-edged sword when taking them into consideration together. And I have to say, it's super hard when you're getting started while you're doing that research and you're seeing all of these other successful shops and you're seeing what they're doing and what they're actually producing, their pictures, their quality, everything is wonderful. And that's all great. But if you're someone that easily falls into that comparison trap, then tread lightly, because it's really hard. When you set that budget for yourself and then you see what everybody else is doing, you're like, oh, well, I need the best of the best. I need exactly what they're doing. They're successful with it. So that means that I need those things in order to be successful. And that's not always the case. So really, just take all of those things that you research and see and your budget, take that with a grain of salt. Do your best to avoid that comparison state. Literally, that's how I ended up with 6 different silicone molds. And actually, in next week's video, I'm going to share with you the exact things that I chose to get started with and how they all fell within my starting budget. I promise you, it is not one of those lists that's going to be like, oh, you need a phone. Yes, you need a phone, but that's not going to help you, okay? This is going to be actual valuable information. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button now and turn on the bell. That way you are right here at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time next Thursday, okay? Let me get that list to you as soon as possible. All right, so we have figured out our direction. We have done our research. We have made a budget. We're coming back next week to see exactly the best places to spend that budget. The next thing that we need to do is brainstorm a list of at least 10 products that we would like to get started with. Now, this is just a quick jot, or you have done that research and you see, oh, you know what, I really think a whipped sugar scrub would be perfect for my line. These are just your initial thoughts. This doesn't mean that this is the exact list that you're gonna buy everything for and start your work with, okay? So this is just going to give you a good estimate or a good jumping off point. Later, we're gonna pare that list down. Now, when making your list, I personally like to use a notebook. It just is kind of the way that my brain works. I like writing it down. I like seeing it on paper. I like being able to like erase things. Something that might work better for you might be doing this in a Google Sheet. It might be doing it on like a dry erase board or something like that. Maybe a chart, maybe a list, whatever works best for you and your brain, do that. But regardless of the style in which you make this list, don't forget you need to add these things, okay? You need the type of product, so will it be a soap or a whipped sugar scrub or something like that? A fragrance, assuming you're adding one, which I assume most people would be. So the type of product, the fragrance, will you be coloring it? And if so, what color will you use? Will you be adding anything to it like an exfoliant or, an extra type of oil to just kick it up a notch? Any of those things that you plan on adding into it, and potential packaging, including product labels. You're gonna need to lay all of these things out together in order to make these informed decisions. All right, next up is going to be start pricing these items out and refine or pare down your list. So if you look down in my description box, I have listed out a few different suppliers that I have been working with. Now, again, I'm just starting out. I'm no expert. I haven't had years in, and I don't know who's great and who's bad, but the links that I put down below, which of course are not affiliates or anything like that, those links down below are places that I have actually ordered from and had good experiences with. So use those, use whatever other resource or supplier you would like, and start pricing out those items that you have put on your brainstorm sheet. Honestly, the easiest way to do that is go to the website, add all of the things that you're going to need to the cart. And although you won't, in some cases, be able to get like the full-on packaging and labels, you can at least get a good base idea of how much it will cost. So add all of those things to the cart and before you write it down on your sheet, like before you write an estimated cost on your sheet, calculate the estimated shipping cost of those items, because that was a huge shock to me. I would buy one thing from one website and it would cost $12 to ship it. And at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like, why is shipping so expensive? But if you think about it, it makes sense. The products are heavier. A lot of them are liquid. Some of them, especially like if you're going for a cold processed soap, you'll need corrosive material like lye. So it just is a little bit different. They do have to account for those types of things when factoring in the shipping costs. So once I really thought about that and fully and have decided that I fully understand why, it makes more sense. But know that before going in, shipping is going to be a little expensive, but every website that I have used and linked down below has like a shipping calculation estimate, a shipping estimator calculation. There it is. And just another quick note, when you're kind of paring down your list and figuring out exactly what you want to go for, I would highly recommend that you don't fall into like a seasonal product trap. That's awesome if you already have a customer base, but if you are just starting, like for example, me, I'm just starting, I'm pretty sure my customer base is going to be my friends for right now and my family, which I love, right? But you know, you don't want to say, okay, I have the budget for 5 soaps. I'm gonna make 4 of them fall scented because it's like mid-August and fall's gonna be coming up soon. You want to kind of think of this first collection or launch or line of products as like your core offerings. So you wanna go with like those best known or best selling scents that are not seasonal. You don't want it to be, you know, next January and you're stuck with 4 types of fall scented soap, right? Because most people aren't going to buy that. So you want to make sure that if you do decide to make a seasonal product, that it's like a very small offering. And that is actually the final tip, is paring down, or the final step in deciding your product launch. You need to pare down that list and start ordering things. Now, the last tip or last little thing I'll tell you is try, especially in the very beginning, to get products that you can like use in different ways. So for example, my personal core product line includes a whipped scrub and a massaging soap bar. So one thing that I ordered that will kind of level them up a little bit are jojoba beads, and I'll link the ones that I purchased down below. So I ordered a color of jojoba bead that could be added to multiple different products. So I ordered gold. I also ordered pink, but you know, pink is also actually a really good one, especially, you know, if you're like the bright and fun line. So these gold ones, I will be making a sugar scrub with them, or an exfoliating sugar scrub with them, and I will be adding them to a champagne massaging bar. The only thing I will say is don't add jojoba beads to bath bombs, because the jojoba bead will like dissolve, and you don't want to be sitting on, you don't want to be offering a product that's going to melt away, but the jojoba beads still be there after the other product has melted away. You want them to kind of like melt together. So, and of course those beads need to be like rubbed against something in order for them to dissolve. So I would highly recommend, like, please do not add jojoba beads to your bath bombs, but something like a massaging soap bar or a sugar scrub would be perfect for them. So that one product, or I'm sorry, that one additive will get me a couple of different products, and I think that that's a great place to start. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. If you have not subscribed, please do so. My videos are going to be super valuable. I know there's only, you know, a couple so far, but I am bringing you the value, and I am in those trenches with you. I am not successful yet. I mean, you know, in the way of a handmade business. I am not successful yet, so we are doing this together, and yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. All right, guys, I will see you in my next video. Check out that description box below for the things that I mentioned before, and I will see you next week. Bye.